Have you ever started something with so much passion and enthusiasm, only to abandon it halfway? Maybe you signed up for a course and promised yourself you would finish it. Maybe you started waking up early to achieve your goals, journaling, praying, or even exercising, and for reasons you couldn't continue. Unfinished projects, half-learned skills, ideas that still live in your head but never made it into your hands. And every time you remember them, you feel guilty. If that sounds familiar, this story is for you. Because once, there was someone who could not finish anything he started, even though he was full of intelligence, ideas, and vision. Until one encounter taught him a secret that changed everything. Stay with me until the end. Once upon a time, in a growing city filled with noise, ambition, and constant movement, there lived a young man named Daniel. Daniel was an architect. He loved designing houses. He loved drawing floor plans, sketching walls, windows, and roofs. He could sit for hours imagining how people would live inside the buildings he created. Among his friends and colleagues, Daniel was known as someone with great potential. People would say, "He's very smart. He has good ideas. He sees things differently." And it was true. Daniel had notebooks filled with house designs, folders on his laptop full of several building plans he was working on, drawings of modern homes, apartments, and offices, all started, just not completed. His life followed the same pattern. Daniel would start a new house design with strong focus. He would wake up early. He would clear his desk. He would tell himself, "This time, I will finish this project." For the first few days, everything felt good, focused, determined, and motivated. The ideas were clear. The vision felt strong. He could already imagine people living in the house. And then, slowly, as the project progressed, another idea would enter his mind. A different house, a new layout, a better concept. "Oh, this one is even better," he would think, and then he would begin sketching the new idea. At first, only for a moment, just a few lines, just to get it out of his head. But slowly, without noticing, his attention would move. The first design would remain open on the desk. The papers would stay there, untouched. Days later, it would still be unfinished. Not because it was bad, not because it failed, it was simply left behind. His room showed the truth of his life. House plans stacked on each other, drawings rolled up and pushed aside, designs that once felt important, now silent. When friends ask him, "So how is that house project going?" Daniel would pause for a second, then smile. "I'm still working on it." But the room told a different story, and deep down he knew the truth. He had stopped working on it, and he had already started another design. At night, when the city became quiet, Daniel would sit alone and look at his drawings, and a heavy feeling would come, not anger, not sadness, but guilt. He would think, "Why am I still unsuccessful? I have the skills. I have the ideas. So what is wrong with me?" Then one day, Daniel received an important opportunity. A small construction company Daniel had contacted months earlier finally reached out to him. "We have a contract for you," they said. "Design a house for our client's estate." "This is your chance," they added. "If you do well, more projects will come." Daniel felt hope rise inside him. This was not just practice anymore. This was real. For the first few weeks, he worked seriously. He completed the basic layout. He planned the rooms carefully. He selected materials and measurements. The project was moving forward. Then, one afternoon, while working on the company's design, a thought crossed his mind. What if I also designed small house projects and put them up for sale? They are small projects. They won't take much time. I can still work on the company's project. It sounded reasonable. So he started. At first, it was just one small design, something simple. Then it became a slightly bigger one. Then another idea came. Then another. He kept telling himself, "I'll go back to the main project after this." Days passed, then weeks. The company's house design remained open on his desk, unfinished. The deadline arrived. The house design was not completed. A message came from the company. The contract was terminated. Daniel sat on his chair and read the termination letter again and again. He felt a heavy weight inside his chest. He had lost the job. He had lost the money. He had lost his reputation. But worse than all of that, he had lost respect for himself. Later that night, Daniel sat on the floor of his bedroom. Around him were dozens of unfinished projects, house designs pinned to the wall, sketches stacked on the desk, ideas that once felt important. And for the first time, Daniel admitted something to himself. "I don't have a problem starting," he said quietly. "I have a problem finishing what I start." He looked at his hands, skilled hands that created beautiful beginnings but never beautiful endings, and whispered, "I'm tired of being the man who almost did something great." The next day, Daniel visited an older architect named John. John was known for several well-designed buildings in the town. Daniel explained everything to him: the excitement, the stopping, the guilt. John listened without interrupting. After a moment, he asked one simple question: "What do you do when the work becomes boring?" Daniel had no answer. John then said, "Every project has a period like this. The beginning feels exciting. New ideas come easily. The end feels good. Completion, pride, results. But the middle..." He paused. "The middle is where most people stop." John picked up one of his projects he was working on. "Tell me what you see," he said. Daniel looked at it and replied, "A floor sketch, some measurements, wood patterns." John nodded. "If I stop here," he said, "this is not a house design. It is just a collection of lines." "I am an architect," John continued. "My job is not to start drawings. My job is to design building plans." Then John said something Daniel would never forget. "Finishing is not about motivation. Motivation fades. Finishing is about commitment to the process, even when it is no longer exciting. It is about returning to the same work again and again." John gave Daniel one instruction: choose one unfinished house design, not the biggest one, not the most impressive one, the simplest one. And work on it every day, even if it is just 10 minutes. Do not start anything new until it is finished, even if you don't feel like it, even if it feels boring, even if a better idea comes. He leaned closer and said, "Finish one thing, Daniel, just one. Because the person who can finish one thing can finish anything." Daniel went home and looked at his drawings. He chose one small house plan. The next day, he worked on it for a few minutes. The day after that, he returned again to the drawing. Some days felt slow, some days felt boring. But he stayed. And slowly, something changed. Not the drawings, him. The guilt became quieter. The noise in his mind slowed down. His trust in himself began to grow. When he finally completed the house design, it was simple, but it was finished. For the first time in his life, Daniel understood something clearly. He was not broken, he just needed to learn how to finish. He chose a second project, then a third. Each time, the same rule: touch it every day until it is complete. No starting something new before finishing the current one. No abandoning work halfway. Weeks became months. The half-finished building plans gradually disappeared. They were replaced with completed, well-designed house plans. And within a year, Daniel hosted his first exhibition. He sold most of his building designs, and from that exhibition, he received over 5 new contracts. Now, this is not just about Daniel's story. You see, success is not achieved by having a plan. Most people have plans. Most people have ideas. Most people know what they should be doing. But knowing has never been the problem. The real difference between the life you imagine and the life you live is not intelligence, talent, or even opportunity. It is something far quieter. It is your ability to return to the same thing. On days when it feels ordinary, on days when the excitement is gone, on days when nobody is watching and nothing feels urgent anymore. Starting is easy. Starting feels powerful. Starting makes you feel like you've changed, even when you haven't. That first day is full of energy. The first week feels hopeful. Your mind fills with visions of who you'll become once this works. But then, the middle arrives. And the middle doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with drama. It comes quietly, disguised as boredom, doubt, distraction, and new ideas. The middle is where the work stops feeling special, where progress slows, where results haven't shown up yet, but effort is already required. And this is where most dreams are abandoned, not because they were impossible, but because they stopped being exciting. Here's the truth most people never hear. The middle is not a sign that something is wrong. The middle is the proof that something is real. Fulfillment doesn't come from passion. Passion fades. Fulfillment comes from completion. There is a kind of confidence you only earn by finishing, not by talking about it, not by planning it, but by staying long enough to see something through. When you finish something, even something small, your mind changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who keeps going. And that identity shift changes everything. This is why success is built on small, almost invisible actions. A quiet return, a few minutes of effort, a decision to not walk away today. Not because you feel motivated, but because you decided to continue. So here's my invitation to you. Look honestly at your life, not at your potential, at your unfinished things. The book you stopped halfway, the skill you meant to master, the project you started with excitement and left behind when it got hard. Choose one, just one. Not the biggest one, not the most impressive one, the one you know you've been avoiding. And for the next period of your life, return to it daily, even briefly, even imperfectly. Because success doesn't come from dramatic changes, it comes from staying. If this message spoke to you, don't just like the video, let it mark a decision. Comment the one thing you're committing to finish. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. Just name it and stay committed to it. Share this video with that person who is yet to finish what they started, and subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.